Hi, everybody. Okay, so this is Vince here, and fortunately today I've actually managed to get a hold of Matt from Brisbane, Ainslie in Brisbane, isn't it?
That's it.
Yep.
Nice to be with you.
So
Thanks, Vince.
wonderful. Now, Matt is actually here today. This is a pre-recorded interview for anybody who's wondering. But if you have questions that when we're playing this live and you want to put them through, Matt has graciously said that I can send them to him in an email and he'll do his best to answer. But the reason why we've got Matt on the show is specifically 2 weeks ago, I went and tokenized some silver and some gold. So with that tokenization came the understanding that that is actually backed by real silver and gold from Ainslie. So today we're going to talk about that tokenization, and we're also probably going to dive off into other areas like crypto, etc., because Matt's all in charge of that. The newsletters we see from Ainslie coming through, he's part of that crew that makes that. So we're going to see how much we can get out of his brain that's going to be of benefit to us. So it's just a general friendly chat. We're just going to make it up as we go. So firstly, Matt, give us a bit of a heads up on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, my name's Matt. I'm a crypto consultant at Ainslie Crypto, which is an arm of the Ainslie family. And obviously, everyone's aware of Ainslie Bullion, been around for 50 years. The crypto department's been around for since 2017. So there's been an evolution of the business itself from the early days. A lot more things have come through that we have to do to make sure that everything is above board, transparent, and all those sorts of things that are required of us. And we've evolved over time, and we've had some really good advancements in the last year or two, particularly with custody and other things. But look, the business is growing, and we're always looking to evolve and serve our customers better and as good as we can. So we're not stagnant in that in that respect. Sorry, we do look to move forward and do a better experience. But I'm on the crypto desk. All the orders come through our team. All the sells, the buys, the swaps. An interesting thing about our crypto is that we have the ability to go to physical bullion, and it's all under the same roof, which makes that process quite easy as well. So there's many options.
You're going to have to explain that to me in a minute about how you
Yeah,
do
it's no
that.
problem.
But
Oh, and we also do custody, obviously. So that's another important aspect of crypto. So yes.
yeah, so in that custody, that was something you just raised then about custody. A bit more of an explanation on that would be great.
Yeah, so in the early days, we used to sell paper wallets, and people would buy those, take them with them. So they were the custodian of their particular crypto on that paper wallet with a private QR code key and
Yep.
a public key as well. And as long as they kept them safe, possibly in a safe, when it comes to the day to sell them, simple process, bringing it back into the store or organizing a way for that code to come back to us, and we can strip that, we can sell it, swap it to whatever. So those were the early days. But since then, we've now evolved into more of a digital age, a lot more seamless experience with getting people firstly verified, which is important. We have to do all the KYC and AML as pretty much every business out there has to do these days.
Yep.
And for those unaware, KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering. I'm sorry if we speak in acronyms sometimes,
That's all right. Yeah.
but that's just the way it goes. So yeah, we get all those ticked off. Someone becomes a verified customer of Ainslie, and once they place an order, and let's say they're new to the space, we're able to take those assets that they've purchased, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, a lot of blue chip cryptos that we deal with, and some evolving cryptos as well. And that list is always getting a bit bigger as we evolve ourselves. And we're able to take those assets and put them into what we call an institutional grade custodial service. And we have two relationships which we're very proud to be associated with is Zodia and BitGo. And they're very large, world-renowned entities that have very, very strong custodial services in the back end. Our customers are then able to log into what we call storage app. or Ainslie Storage, which is an interface that they can just look at on their computer. It's a window to their holdings. You
Right.
can't sell or swap or anything within that window, but it is a viewing, and you can print reports off for your self-managed super fund if it needs to go to the accountant or all that sort of stuff from within there. You just can't execute trades from in there. That's something we do. We're very hands-on and bespoke when it comes to that for our customers, like a brokerage service. But we're able to keep your assets extremely safe in the back end. An example, let's say someone wanted to sell a portion of their holdings and we got an email to say so. I would actually have to myself produce my driver's license front back. I would have to turn my head left and right to do a liveliness test. That would then get signed off by my boss. That would then go to the custodial service who gets it multi-sigged, multi-signatures verified this side of the planet, and then on the other side of the planet, and only then will your assets move. So it's a
Wow.
very, very strong, excuse me, it's a very, very strong custodial service that we offer. That's just one example of one of the relationships that we have, what we have to do. So
And
yes,
that
they're
is
very safe.
basically for the crypto side of
That's the
things.
crypto
Oh, yeah.
side, yeah.
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 Wow.
So
That's
nothing moves until there's a lot of eyes that go on it saying, yes, this person's verified to move something. So our storage system, our storage solution we're very proud of it. It works very, very well, and it's very secure. With regards to Zodia, they have an insurance policy themselves.
beautiful.
So we don't have the insurance policy per se with the digital assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so forth, but where we store it does. And so in the unlikely event that something potentially happened, and let's say you had $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, well, you would be made, I would believe, whole with $100,000 value. Probably not the amount of Bitcoin, but the value you'd be made whole with. So,
At the
but I
time that
can
it was.
confirm that, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So, and you said you have two of these companies. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So one gave us our core uh, assets that we had, that we were limited to a number of assets that we had initially, that we sold and supported with our storage app. But the ability to go to another storage solution, institutional grade custodial service, meant that we could get a lot more digital assets on offering, because they had a wider range. So that process is ongoing. We're adding new ones all the time, so people can get their favorite if it's there that we support it. But that list is growing, which is really good to see as well.
So, how many would you have in that list at the moment, do you think?
Oh gosh, yeah, put me on the spot there.
Just roughly.
What
Just
what
roughly.
used to be a dozen? I think we've had two tranches of maybe. So we kind of look at obviously volume of interest. That's the driver. So if we're getting emails saying, "Hey, look, are you supporting the Flare token or something similar to that? There's interest in it. I want to buy some." Then that's kind of like, okay, that gets put into a basket of the ones that we are getting interest in, and then we were able to pursue those and add maybe 5 or 6 at a time. So what started off as a dozen now has probably gone to a few dozen. So that's, yeah,
Right.
it's going pretty good.
So, just generally from your analysis and what you've seen and what you believe may be a good and valid cryptocurrency in the future, and that's what you choose. Is that correct?
Again, it's around customer interest. So if there's no interest for the token from our particular base of customers, then you know we can add it, but there's no real point. So we really do cater for our customers' needs and desires and wants. So there has been a little bit of interest, as I said, was one of those tokens was with Flare. Other ones, and we're going to talk about tokenization. Another one might have been Ondo, so we've added that as
Oh,
well.
yep.
So there's a few that have kind of come into the stable, which has been really good, and it gives people the little bit broader exposure. If they if you've got some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some XRP as your core position, like a tree trunk, and then you're starting to kind of go, well, there's some branches here and there's some thinner branches. Well, I have some available that I might want to start to get exposure here, just in case there's some greater alpha because someone's done some research and they know that that project's doing this, this, this. Well, we're catering for that as well and able to store it, which is important.
Right. Well, that raises two questions because there's one, you mentioned the word Ondo, which I'll get back to. But two, I'm going to be pretty much guaranteed one of my viewers wants to know about what you think about XRP and its future. So which one of those two questions would you like first?
Well, XRP I could probably talk about for quite some time. So if you want to get Ondo out of the way, we'll do Ondo first. We don't want to miss Ondo just in case. But I'm very bullish. And it's interesting that those two actually kind of have symbiosis a little bit as well, the Ondo and particularly the RLUSD, which is Ripple's stablecoin, which is the on and off ramps of the Ondo tokenized treasuries, which I think they're doing at the moment.
Let's do the Ondo first, because I did actually feature Ondo as part of that tokenization on the program I did the other week. And I was expressing how much they had in the way of tokenization. And that raised the question, is the assets behind the tokenization real? Because they were talking things like Microsoft, and there was a whole heap of assets in there. And there's another particular company or organization out there called QSI that seems to tokenize things a lot too, that I don't think are actually valid. But it looks very much like Ondo is valid. But how do you confirm that?
Well, I mean, you go into the company, or you start at their website. I mean, this is something that I would do as research. So I don't know Ondo particularly what their policies and their procedures and their structures and back end stuff, but this is something I would research before going heavily into something. I would be looking at, obviously everything in there, I guess what people would commonly call a prospectus or something. But I would find out if those assets are real in the back end. And if they're not real in the back end and they're just tokenizing them out of thin air, that's probably something I wouldn't touch personally. There needs to be some sort of a redemption process as well. I think that's important. So Ondo's delving into the BIDL. I always get that word wrong. I think it's BIDL with BlackRock. They've got some relationship going on there. One would assume that there's there's access to whatever they're tokenizing, that they actually have to physically go and get the items and have them stored with a custodian. And then they're able to break them up into smaller pieces, digestible pieces, or investable pieces that the common folk would be able to sort of get in and get exposure to. I think Ondo has a $5,000 minimum with their tokenized offerings. Yep, I believe there's a $5,000. Now, generally when I speak, it'll be US terms because I've got it from that. But if it's Australian, I'll say so. But yeah, generally it's a $5,000 minimum as far as all those portions of 5,000. Whereas BlackRock's same product so that they're tokenizing might be $5 million. So they're for the big boys. And Ondo is sort of positioning to be able to service a lot more of the punters out there, which is great. For those that want to get into tokenized, tokenized treasuries, which I know they're doing. And I guess that's just the start. And when you start looking at tokenization, you start to look at, like you said, Apple stock and so forth. And there's been some issues lately with a company called Link2 and offering shares and all this sort of stuff. And John Deaton is jumping on board to help with that. Just a separate side note. Do they actually have the stock that they were offering to the people? There's been some questions about that, and all that's being resolved in the back end. But the same methodology would apply to anything I do here to make sure that Ondo has these things provable on balance sheet. To be able to offer them to us. You can
see that there's quite a massive list. This is the actual Ondo site here that's streaming here in front of us at the moment.
Look at all that. That's amazing to be able to get exposure on that on such a fractionalized way. And then can you consider that in the future that maybe somehow there's an interoperability layer that you go with your card or your wallet and you're able to pay with milk or your coffee down the local shop with tokenized Apple stock. Like that's just that's that's the potential of this, and
But it's
platforms like
also,
this will allow you to get some. Yeah.
it can also be the trap, because obviously you have to have some sort of level of trust that they do actually, or have gone and purchased those shares
Yeah.
or tokens or bits and pieces.
Yeah.
It has
And that's
has a
very
warning
important.
on there, so
Yep. That's very, very
about
important.
it. It can't trade properly in the US because of current US regulations, although I believe that's changing now. But
Yes.
yeah, so that's on those. So we've sort of covered that. But as you said, if you were involved in anything like that, you would do some pretty heavy research first,
Absolutely.
right? Which
And,
is the
and,
requirement.
and yeah, and look, we've been stung enough in the past with you're the likes of Celsius and FTX and all these.
Yeah.
Celsius was particularly yield bearing products or whatever it is. We've been stung before, and it's left a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouths as a result, and a lot of time and heartache following that. So to do your due diligence, to not throw everything in is advisable. Really, if you're looking at doing those things, a small test amount, just but do your research before. You can't just blindly believe and just go do it. Please don't.
Mm.
There's a lot of really clever scams out there that look real and so forth. So it's your funds, it's your hard-earned work, blood, sweat, and tears. Please protect it as best you can,
Yeah.
and do that research. Yeah.
So this is where Ainslie would come in as a benefactor, because if we were running this through you, and you would then be doing the research, so you're like a third party investigator for us who are not so well educated.
Well,
So
we try and put like good information out there in our articles and news articles and so forth, and we're all very approachable as far as getting on the phone and having a chat. And talking these things through. And even if we don't have the answers entirely, at least we can put you possibly on a path that can lead you to some more enlightenment about what you're trying to do. Or at least give you a heads up for the risk factors that you may or may not have considered. That's that's what we can do. But in the end, Ainslie's we're here to help people become engaged and invested and understand as best as possible leading into this crypto revolution, which we kind of just basically the starting gates of, really.
yeah, still. Okay. Now you have your chance at XRP.
Well, a background of XRP. I came to XRP in 2017, middle to late of 2017, and everyone starts at Bitcoin, but unfortunately, I missed out on Bitcoin because of my lack of knowledge of being able to get onto an exchange and get myself verified. And even when I
Yeah.
did, I still had no idea that, oh, you got daily limits. And I just said, bugger it, I won't worry about it. So there's about 4 or 5 Bitcoin that I didn't pick up then, and just didn't worry about it until my friend came back many months later and said, oh, did you get any? I said, no. He goes, oh, it's done this, it's done this, it's done this. Okay, what else is there? So that's my journey to XRP, and my first thought was, it's a banker's coin, and bankers never lose. That was my theory, and I ran with that, being completely naive to the whole crypto space. But then I entered the research phase,
Yeah.
and through 2018, 19, gosh, it hasn't stopped really, but definitely heavily through 2018, 19, 20. I was with a research group called SBQR Media, which was a YouTube channel, and we would just dive into the XRP Ripple connections and just do a lot of the stuff they're actually still using in a lot of videos and YouTubes today was some of the research that we did back then. I'd like to
Wow.
say that some of it was pretty cool at the time, but I'd like to also think that Ripple and XRP has evolved since then. And relying on that stuff from 2017 and 18, it was foundational and a few groundwork things, but doesn't mean that it actually sort of got set in concrete. So looking back, but yeah, so I absolutely have been in the XRP space and the XRP community for many years. Also put on a conference down the Gold Coast with 8 of my colleagues, just regular punters, just wanting to showcase the ledger and the developers that were trying to do stuff that didn't really have a voice. So we put on a conference on the Gold Coast. That was the Wave of Innovation conference. We had sponsorship from Ripple, and we had some Ripple Asia employees come out and a bunch of other developers. And that was really cool. It was a great weekend down at Royal Pines. So, yeah, so what's Ripple been doing, or what's XRP been doing? I think it's
Now, can
perfectly
we?
positioned as yep,
I have a question for you.
yep.
Can you clarify for the viewers the difference between Ripple and XRP?
Oh, yeah. So back in I believe it was May, if I'm right, 2012. The XRP ledger was created. Now that was through Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, and Jed McCaleb, who's now gone to XLM. So that was created. There was some more employees brought on, and a company was created called Ripple. Oh, was it open source, open coin? Can't remember. Anyway, Ripple was created back in this, well, later in the September, and they were gifted all the XRP. So Ripple is a company, and I guess at the time they were trying to get a lot of branding and awareness and so forth. And they often referred to the XRP tokens on the XRP ledger as ripples. So there's always been this ongoing confusion, particularly with exchanges putting Ripple as the token. It's not. Ripple is a software company. It has solutions that it offers its own services and gets paid for those services using blockchain and using the XRP and the XRP ledger, among other um, uh, ledgers and so forth. I'm pretty sure that they use Ethereum for certain things. They've got the Ethereum side chain going now, but the XRP ledger is something that they look to use and benefit from because of its low cost and speed and security. So the token is what is the asset that lives on the XRP ledger. Ripple is a company that has a lot of XRP still under stewardship in the escrow and are releasing that every month and having most of it go back. But they're using that XRP ledger and blockchain as their solution to move value around the world very quickly and efficiently.
Okay, so suffice to say, Ripple, the company itself, does do a lot of stuff with banks with their software side.
Yeah.
There's some big news this week that they just scored something in the UK, I believe.
Yeah, so their licensing is extremely important. So this is something that we didn't really pay a lot of attention to back in 2018, 17. It was just bank relationships and what can we find. But now that you kind of move along a little bit and you get a little bit more mature in your thinking, it's just like, well, they can't really get in and do this stuff until they're actually authorized to do so or have licensing to do so. And even since then, Ripple has pivoted to it's those payments as a core function. Don't get me wrong. Using the XRP and other tokens as necessary for on-demand liquidity, but they do have gone into these other functionalities and so forth. So they need licenses for those sorts of things as well. They're maturing as well, and they're becoming more of as I said before, an infrastructural foundational layer, but a one-stop shop to be able to service a lot of high-end Wall Streety kind of clientele.
Yeah.
So yes, they started off as the banks and the banks to hold XRP, and that'll take supply off and it'll drive demand up. But that really wasn't the case because the banks couldn't hold it. They didn't have the regulations to be able to hold the XRP tokens. They weren't allowed. So until all that space and that government regulation matured and became something set in stone, which the US is currently trying to get through as we speak, the Clarity Act and all that sort of stuff. Until those things are in place, and you've got, they've got so many employees that are out there talking with these regulators and so forth to say, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What do you need? What do you need explained? And they've been doing this for years. So they've got a really good head start as a company in many areas, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's London, UK, which is a massive epicenter, or whether it's Singapore with the Singapore Monetary Authority, or the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, sorry, or the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, or now trying to get the states going. It's been a very long process, but I think they've got a really good head start on being able to bring their institutional ready services to the fore and have that engagement once these players know that they can jump in the pool and start swimming. So I think that's what we've got coming, which is really exciting, you know. So yeah, I think the XRP ledger has a lot to offer and a lot to as part of a technology stack. And what I mean by that is that payments will be one part of this. Think of it as a high rise. It'll be one layer. It'll probably be the bottom layer with all the plumbing. It's one layer of what these companies and these businesses need. They need smart contracts. They need all these other things which you can grab from other tokens and you can stack them on top of each other and you can use all those wonderful solutions. But at the bottom is always a payment. And that's what, you know, as investors for XRP, that's what we're trying to capture, you know, that adoption. So there's a lot to take in. I'm sorry if I ever talk to everyone, but it is really exciting, and there's a lot that they've been doing. And a thought exercise I did the other day, and I'm sorry if I go on a tangent here, but a thought exercise I did the other day was, what does Wall Street currently expect for itself to function throughout the day? What business solutions or offerings or whatever it is that they need to just do their regular daily business? And I put that into ChatGPT or whatever AI it was, I can't remember. And it says, well, look, they need, and then I prompted it to say, what does Ripple currently have as far as these solutions, particularly considering they've just done all these recent acquisitions, whether it be Hidden Road, which is now Ripple Prime, whether it be G Treasury, whether it be Medico for storage, all these solutions that they're kind of buying and they're bringing under the Ripple umbrella as far as the companies go. What of those satisfies everything that Wall Street normally uses or needs? And if there is anything missing, what is missing? And it came up with a bunch of things. And then it came up with not too many, just a bunch. And I said, well, just give me companies out there that they would need to acquire to fill those gaps, and be an absolute one-stop shop. And there was a couple of, probably about 4 or 5 things that they came up with. And of that, I said, which would be easier to acquire, medium or hard? And I said, just give me the medium and easy ones. And it came up with a name called Securitize, which is tokenization. And Securitize is invested in, or Ripple is invested in Securitize, and Securitize has a lot of relationships with. But that's the one I'm keeping an eye out. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but as far as talking tokenization and bringing it back to that, just keep an eye out on that one. I'm not sure. Just
so
little prediction.
We'll see a little bit more tokenization on the Ripple ledger.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's trapped liquidity. It's trapped value. That if you can bring tokenized onto a ledger or any ledger particularly, then suddenly that's capital that wasn't there or easily. So it's not like you can go into your house and easily rip up a $5,000 worth of carpet because you need it for this, and sell it.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
You know, if you could tokenize your home, keep 60% equity in your name, and 40% goes out to the public because they want to buy into Avalon in Sydney because you can't buy a house there yourself. But you know, for 10 grand, I'll get a little token of it. Then now we're talking. You know, this trapped capital. So tokenization is very exciting, very, very exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So let's actually head down that tokenization chart now that we've got. A lot of people are worried about tokenization. I mean, I can see the benefit of it because, as you said, you know, like I could put $10,000 into. There's one out there that tokenizes apartment buildings, so that you could be part of that apartment building and you would get a small share of the rent from that apartment building because you've tokenized part of it. Once again, you have to validate that the real asset exists that you're tokenizing and that you do in fact have a reputable company that is holding that token for you.
Yes,
but
and a custodial service in the back end that is a custodial service in the back end that is provable on chain to have those assets. That's so whoever does that tokenization
on that one. A bit more
Yeah, so
explanation
whoever
on that.
whoever tokenizes that is going to have tokens. Okay, so they have tokens. They'll have that maybe on. They'll do an Ethereum ERC20 based token
Yep.
potentially, right? And those tokens are. You can go into the white paper. You can see how many there are, or how they're minted. What's the smart contract? Then you've got proof from the company that's doing that. Here's our address. Here's where the tokens are. Here's where those, whether it's what they call blue slips. What are the slips of paper that that says you've got ownership of your home? I'm sorry, I'm just drawn a
Yeah.
blank. What they call
Title.
the
Title.
titles. Okay, so here's the titles, the smart contracts for these properties living here, as far as, sorry, living in the custodial service as a smart con. All that needs to be verifiable, transparent, and the company that does that, and it's easy for people to check, will probably win. The ones that are obfuscate and kind of whatever, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So
Right.
all these things that are verifiable has to be in place for that to be a successful adoption.
Which is the hardest part, though, is proving that. I mean, anybody on a computer today can make up a fake title and put stuff in. So yeah, that's one of the hardest parts, I think, that
Yeah,
tokenization is going to face.
and and look, there'll be probably licenses and so forth given out by ASIC and all those regulatory bodies that say that this company is allowed to do that because they've met our standard of whatever it is. Securities or whatever they're offering it if it falls under security laws. So there will be ones that will be able to sort of go, well, we've jumped through all the hoops, we've paid however much money to do so. Here's our verification from ASIC and blah blah blah. So
Yeah,
that's
holding
probably a
accountable.
logical way that will go. I'm not saying exactly, but it could go that way. And those are the ones that you'd probably just do some further research and due diligence on.
Okay. Well, let's move on from that and
Yep.
talk about Ainslie and its partnership. Is it a partnership or is it an arrangement with CoinSpot and
Ah,
tokenized
yes.
silver?
Yeah, well, it's a relationship with CoinSpot and look, the AGS, which is the silver standard, AG being the chemical symbol for silver, S being the standard, and the AU, which is gold standards. They're coins that were tokenized back in 2017. So we've been doing this for quite some time. I know Ripple, there's been a bit in the news lately about tokenization coming to the XRP ledger and all that sort of stuff, and people can read about that. We've been doing this, ours is on the Ethereum blockchain. We've been doing it since 2017, so we've been going for quite some time with it. The research that I did found that tokenizing gold, I think it was particularly, was an Asian experiment back in 2014, 15 out of Singapore. There was a company doing that on the XRP ledger. So this is something they've been thinking about for quite some time. But as far as Ainslie's going, yep, we've had it since 2017, the AUS and AGS, and we offer those. Obviously, CoinSpot, we've engaged them as a relationship, and they offer on there as well. Now, the advantage at the moment of CoinSpot is that they are 24/7. 365 as far as wishing to someone to buy or to sell or to whatever. They have a slightly higher premium because they're offering a service, and that's just the way business runs. We are between 9 and 4 each day, and they're our tokens, so we can offer a slightly better price on those purely because they're ours. But we're very thankful to CoinSpot because that they've taken those tokens on and they're able to offer those to customers 24/7. So
As we can
it's a
see
good
here.
relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
So
one.
this is so just so people understand that this silver that I purchased here and this gold that I purchased here are 100% backed by Ainslie.
Yes, and that's a process in of itself. And we need the transparency, we need the trust, and all those keywords, and we need the custody as well. Obviously, the trusted custody. We need all those boxes ticked. And if people wish to learn more about that, that's what I'm here for. To say that that silver that you've got there is backed by silver that's down in the vault, or the gold is backed by gold that's down in the vault. And it's a bit of a process to be able to do that, but they're not just created willy-nilly and just thrown out there for people just to, like a fractional reserve thing like we're all experiencing with what the bank does with their money and their reserves.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like that, and then we're not allowed to be like that. There's a lot of rules and regulations in place, so we go to a very high standard, which our policies and procedures are orientated towards that. So hopefully that builds trust in people that they can get into this space in a tokenized way, which has its advantages sometimes over the physical, I think, or maybe even part of a part of a profile of someone's portfolio that has a bit of this and a bit of that, just depending on how they wish to maybe use it in the future or liquidate it in the future or swap it in the future. It could be quite handy. So yes, those are our
So
tokens, and
so
got
that this
a bit of an
balance here
experiment
of
going on there.
32,
Yep,
32 grams of silver and
that's it.
0.3 of a gram of gold. Well, it was very interesting, but that literally means that you guys have guaranteed that I now have 0.3 of a gram of gold. So
I'd like
I find that,
like you to go anywhere. I'd like you to go anywhere out there into the market and go and be able to buy $78 worth of gold. You
yeah,
can't do it.
well, no, it would probably be fake gold actually, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Or it's some
but,
fly speck that's like about this big, But it's
so
you can, that's what the
tokenizing,
beauty of tokenization is. Yeah.
tokenizing against direct purchasing. What's the advantages of doing something like what I've done here in CoinSpot as a token
Yes.
versus me actually purchasing directly from you and putting it in your storage?
Okay. So if someone is dealing with smaller values, they might use this as a bit of a savings program, which we can touch on later, which is Ainslie Saver. I'll just put a little pin on that one. So,
Yep.
but for someone that's looking to get some gold and some silver, and they only have the limited resources, this is a way that they can put some money aside and get all the exposure to gold and silver moving forward. In a debasing environment of their currency, it's a smart move. It's 24/7, which is fantastic. Compared to Ainslie crypto, we are 9 till 4. And again, that may evolve in the future. I don't know, but it would make sense to. But we'll see where that goes in the future. It becomes more of a style of exchange where it's 24/7. But for the moment, you get your bespoke service, you get your hands-on, talk to real people. But we have a $5,000 minimum when it comes to the purchase of AUS and AGS, or a
What do you mean
$5,000
by
sell.
that?
So if someone wanted to buy let's say 5,000, someone wanted to buy some silver AGS tokens through us, it's a
Oh, right.
$5,000 minimum. Yeah,
Yep.
so it's a $5,000 minimum. If they want it, and let's say they have done that a few times over the period of a few years doing their investing, and in the future they said, well, look, I want to sell some AGS for my car's broken down or whatever it is. It's a minimum $5,000 sell in the
So,
future. Yeah. So
whereas,
whereas CoinSpot allows $20, $10,
yeah, which is good because I don't have
$15. Yeah.
5,000 to spend. But yeah,
Yeah. So I get it. So CoinSpot is offering that service, which we're grateful for as well. So that sort of allows our token to get out there and in the face of the public, and hopefully in a trusted environment that they know that it is backed. It's backed 1-to-1. It's only minted once we put metal in there. So it's a very
yeah,
handy tool. And in the future, like if someone might go geographically, they're middle of Queensland, and well, it's not that easy to come into town and buy the physical and go out there. It might not be easy to say they've had silver that they've been storing for years in a safe, and suddenly they're moving interstate. That's a bit of a logistical thing themselves to be able to do, but with a tokenized gold and silver is something as simple as a wallet. You could move a lot of value and weight of silver on a wallet. So, you know, it has its advantages that way. Other advantages as the price of silver and gold go completely north,
Nuts.
which is we're sort of all experiencing, and it's all very exciting at the moment. Maybe there's a bit more room in it. Who knows? You know, you might have bought a 5 kilo bar 3 or 4 years ago of silver, and when you go to sell it, well, you're locked into that 5 kilo bar. Whereas,
Mm.
you know, and at the moment, that 5 kilo bar might be something like $25,000 or something. So you got to
Or
sell the
even
whole
just a
thing.
kilo bar. Right.
Yeah, well,
I have
it's nearly four thousand
one of
six hundred
those.
for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're locked
And
into
I
a
bought it
kilo.
2.5 years ago. So you know how happy
Yeah,
I am today. But
well, I should be very
yeah.
happy. But
Well,
you know,
so
if the price of silver goes
effectively,
up, if the
yeah.
price of silver goes up to something, you know, extraordinary and surprising, just like that 5 kilo bar is now 25,000. Well, with tokenized, so with the physical, you'd be locked into selling $25,000. But with tokenized as an option, if you wanted to just sell, if you had 5 kilos of tokenized silver,
Yep.
well, you might only have to sell, you know, $5,000 worth. So just a portion, and you can do
Yeah.
that easily because it's divisible. So it has
Yeah.
its
Because
advantages.
it's
Yeah.
not the real silver as such, but it's backed by real silver. And that's the key. It is
Yes.
backed by real silver.
Yeah, it is.
So
And yeah, that's
this
a very
would be
important. Yeah.
this would be a great way for the smaller investors just to effectively build up some silver stocks. And we'll talk about the super saver or the Ainslie saver in a
Ainslie
minute.
Saver. Yeah. Ainslie
Yep.
Saver. Yeah.
Right. But this would be a good way online for somebody who lives out in the country to purchase silver. Like if I buy a coin from you, say for $128 for an ounce right now,
Yep.
sorry, a bar, I'll say a bar because they're
Yep.
not all
Yep.
coins, right? Then there's that plus the postage coming to me, which
Yes.
would be what, $28 or something.
Well, I think if you're sending a kilo of silver, it's going to be about $36
Well,
to
what
send
about
a
an
kilo of
ounce?
silver.
An
An ounce, I
ounce.
think a minimum, I think is I think it's $36 now, or $28. It's used to be 17. I think it's about 28 now. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a
So
minimum
that's an
cost.
extra,
So you've got to factor that in as
28
well.
$28 that I could have actually put on a token and been making
Yeah,
money instead of spending money.
yeah,
So
and
there's an advantage there as well.
exactly. So you're getting more bang for your buck, which is an important point. So silver is in an extraordinary place at the moment with regards to supply and demand. Premiums that are being charged by the Perth mints and all these sorts of refiners and so forth that we pay, and obviously that gets passed on. It's something we can't
Yeah.
absorb when it goes premiums that are multiple percentages higher than spot. So what you're looking at the moment, just from the last time I looked at those figures, I think the most cost-effective percentage over spot that we had was probably for the kilo physical bars.
Okay.
And that was about 14.5% over spot. Now I've been here since probably maybe it's 2 years in a few months' time or whatever it is. And I don't remember the percentages ever being this high. Right? They're usually kind of, sort of
Supply and
lower,
demand.
sort of 4, 5, 7, 9, somewhere around there, sort of thing, depending on whether you've got some artisan kangaroo,
Yeah.
koala, whatever it is, that might be 9%. Well, the kilo bar now is 14, and those other bespoke kind of just those artisan ones and collectible ones might be 19%. The tokens are still 14, so they're on par with a really good rate over spot as to anything that the physical can offer as well. And I'm not saying not to buy physical. It's great to have that in your no counterparty risk in your hands. So I love silver and I
Yeah.
love gold.
100%. Yeah.
But as far as getting bang for your buck, tokenized silver is still a very good way to go as far as
And
maximizing your value and your ounces or grams. Sorry. Yeah.
and does that also work when it comes to the sale of it?
Yeah. So that's really good. It's about 3% thereabouts historically under spot for silver when you're buying back the physical. With the AGS, it's 1.
Wow.
It's
So 2%
1%
difference.
under. So, yeah.
Wow.
So again, that's maximizing as part of a strategy that this could encompass. That's a way of keeping a little bit of extra bang in your pocket.
As well. Excellent.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Yep.
while we're on the fact that this is a nice, neat way to actually save up, Ainslie also has the ability to do your saver program as well.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
talk about that for a sec?
Yeah. So Ainslie Saver is a fantastic product that launched maybe about 12 months ago or so. And it utilizes our storage app. And it's a way of for someone that might be a bit more modest in their ability to invest, to be able to get, let's say, I think the minimum is $50, and
$50 as far as I
you
remember.
could do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, you could do that for the month if you wanted. That's not a problem. And you can set your slide bar to wherever you want on the sliding scale. So let's say, and I use this example with my kids, and if they're listening, they'll probably go, "Yeah, Dad, you've said this before." But but if they've got something at the left over after all the expenses that they've got to put money aside for all that stuff, and there's something left over, let's say it's $50 a fortnight, and you want to save towards whether it's a car or the first car, or save towards a young couple going for a home loan, or a deposit for a home loan. What better way than to save in an assets that go up with inflation rather than being debased in a currency in a
Yeah.
bank? Makes perfect sense to kind of keep up with those assets by saving in an asset. you know but for $50 you can set that slide to say, someone at the moment might consider 90% silver and 10% gold. I don't know what everyone's preferences are, but let's say that was the case. You're looking at, for $50, 90% is 45. So you're paying $45 worth of silver, which you can't come in here and buy a half-ounce coin for $45. Even those old 50-cent round pieces from 1966,
Yeah.
like they're $50 a coin now. So that 50 on the front no longer says cents; it actually means dollars. This is the $50 coin, the 1966 $50 coin. That's
$50
what I'm
round
calling it.
silver coin. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's bizarre. So you can't even get one of those. So how do you well, this is something that we're able to offer and can back and so forth, but you could do $45 worth of silver and $5 worth of gold. And it's a
Okay.
fantastic product. You use that as like a savings account. Use a bit of
So
technology in the back end, but it's something that people can access. Anyone
I
can
have two
access.
questions. I have two
Yes.
questions now about that.
Okay.
All right. So
Do my best.
firstly, you said an app. Ainslie has an
Yep.
app for this.
Ainslie Storage. So it's a web-based app. So you go
Okay.
onto our website, which is
Yep.
ainsleyBullion.com.au, and at the top you'll see storage. And if you are a customer of ours or a verified customer of ours, you can simply hit the storage button at the top of the page. It will lead you to what's called a portal. Click on that little button that says storage portal, and you can once verified, you can get a storage storage app account. Yeah, so storage at the
So,
top, left, and then the black there next, buy, sell, storage. Do you see buy, sell,
oh
storage?
yes, just there.
Yeah.
Storage.
So
Yep.
you click on storage. Yep. Scroll down a little bit. You see Ainslie portal,
Oh
storage
yes,
portal.
it's there.
Yep. Yep.
And so we can actually go in there.
Yeah.
But
And you
that
can go in
means that
there
you
and,
need to
and
have a verified account with you guys. So
you got to get verified first. Yes, that's right. And with the Ainslie Saver, once you get verified, there is that little white button at the top that says account.
yep,
And
saw that.
you click on that, and if you haven't already, you sign in or you sign up and generate your
Oh, so
email and a
you
password.
actually
Yeah,
have
so
one.
someone that's so someone that's not already a customer, they might need to sign up at the bottom and create a password and so forth.
Yeah.
And then once they're in there, there's probably three
So
things
that
they need to verify, um, being their email, phone number, and a driver's license number, and that will automatically open them up a storage account as far as the Ainslie Saver goes. And the Ainslie Saver um, has its own payment. It gives you a specific payment, like a pay ID, which is the easiest way. gives you
Yep.
that you use to push payments into it, and then set your little slider to however you want. Maybe some people want 50-50,
Right.
50 gold,
Okay.
50 silver. So it's a really
you can,
good little product off to the side there. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
So you can deposit whenever you want to, effectively, by using that
if you,
AID. So you're not tied to every 50. There's going to be $50 coming out of my account every fortnight or month.
no, that's a kind of a pulling value from your account to us, and we don't do that. It's the customer pushing value into us to get their metal. So
Okay.
so you push
So
the value to us and tell us what you want, 50-50, 90-20, or 90-10, whatever. So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now the next question being is that when I place that and whatever ratio I choose, is that an instant purchase of grams?
Yeah, so it's grams. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I believe it's grams. I'll get back to you on that one, but I believe it's in grams, yes. And then we had someone today wanting to sell a little bit. Well, that's fine. It just gets bought back at the unallocated gold or unallocated silver price. It gets bought back at that and deposit put into their bank account. So
So what's the
it's
difference between unallocated gold and silver price to allocated gold and silver price? I gather there must be a difference here.
Yeah, there is. Some people like, let's say they like specifically the Perth Mint or the Ainslie brand, and they like the serial number on it, and they buy these physical products, and we take it down to the reserve vault, partner and we have part ownership of. Take it down there, deposit it onto, effectively, if they can picture it, a shelf that is theirs, and they'll have the serial numbers, and it just lives there. That's allocated. Now there is a cost to that. It's $18.70 per kilo of silver and $15.50 per ounce of gold or platinum, but it's down there. It's stored. It's the brand that they want. It's the size they want. It's the form that they want. Whatever. It's down there. If that's not important to people and they just want exposure to gold and silver, you can buy unallocated, which taps into supplies of gold and silver that we have already down there that we own. That might be a big chunky 15 kilo bar of silver. Well, not many people are going to come in and buy a 15 kilo chunky bar of silver every day, but with unallocated, it's backed, it's down there, it's silver that's in the vault. We could visually slice that up into 15 pieces and sell 15 kilos worth of unallocated silver because it's backed, it's down there,
Or in my
if someone
case,
ever wanted,
32 grams of a slither of token. Yeah.
Yes. Which you wouldn't be redeeming so much. And it's just like that, as I said, if it gets to, a more significant value, and let's say you had 5,000 tokens, and you wanted 5 kilos of silver, that's not a problem. You could come in and just sort of slip back into the tokenized silver and gold here.
Yeah, we have to go back there anyway.
Yeah, we'll go back to there now. We'll just pivot back. You got 5 kilos or 5,000 grams, 5,000 tokens, 5 kilos of silver. You pay a $250 redemption fee. And the treasury here would basically gather up 5 kilos. Now it might be 1 bar. It might be a few 1 kilos, a few 10 ounces, a few ounces, a few grams here, but it will equal 5 kilos and you'll walk out the door with it. So it's always redeemable, which is a trust thing as well. Because remember, back in the day, they had the original money. You could walk into the bank and with $20 note, you could walk out with your $20 gold coin back in the States. It was redeemable, and it was important to be redeemable. And that's the problem that we've had since 1971, where things aren't redeemable. The gold standard's gone out the window. So we do redeem.
That raises the other question. Redeemable. We discussed this when we were having a chat on phone, but if I was to do, say, as you said, had 5,000 tokens in there, and then I wanted to go and change that for physical silver, we would have to redeem that with you, and there's a $2.50 charge. Now, if I'm correct in my understanding,
$250, not $2.50, $250.
200. Oh, yeah, sorry. Did I say $2.50? $250 is what I meant. Sorry. Yeah.
I just better clarify that with the
viewers. Yeah. We don't want to get that wrong because people will just crucify me. But anyway.
You said
exactly. So Now, if I did that and I paid my $250, right,
Yep.
got it correct this time, charge to have that redeemed by Ainslie, then in a little while I wanted to redeem some more, do I pay that same $250
Yeah,
charge?
it's
And
per
why?
it's per redemption. It's per redemption. So it's just it's a cost that is there is an amount of time and a few other things that are going on in the back end that takes for these processes to happen, and there's just a value that needs to be attached to that. So that's the redemption cost. So if someone wanted to do 5,000 tokens and 5 kilos this month, and then 2 months later they wanted to take some more physical out in a redemption form from the tokens, it's another 250 to do. So it's not just a pay one fee for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, it does
Okay.
take time in the back end, which we just need to factor in.
Okay, so what if we went down that process line? This is why I wanted to
Yep.
jump back here. If we went back down this process line, so let's say that I have 5,000 tokens of silver on
Yep.
CoinSpot, right? And I wanted to redeem it. What would be the steps that would actually occur, knowing
Yeah.
full well that I have to pay the 250?
Yeah, really, really interesting. And we've had a few of those customers lately. So basically, they would make contact with us, make sure they're verified with us as far as an Ainslie crypto customer, which is a higher level of verification than the bullion. So people just please be aware of that. We do need greater KYC AML as a result of being crypto, a lot more eyes on it. But assuming that is
Valid.
done and someone is fully verified, yes,
Yep.
we would give them our receiving address. So they would then send a test, which would be prudent, I suppose, a small test of maybe 1 or 2 tokens from the CoinSpot platform to us, to the receiving address that we emailed to you. We would confirm to you that it has arrived, and then please send the balance. The balance would come over, and let's say it's 5,000 tokens total. What gets generated then is a vendor bill for the sale of those tokens, because effectively you're selling them to us, we're buying them back from you. We would then generate what's called an invoice, and on that invoice it will have costings that will match what you sold to us. It's not profiting out of that. It is just a straight value. If this is valued at that, that's valued at this. We would then give you a breakdown of the items that you would be receiving. It is dealer's choice, as I mentioned before. It's not just hey, I've got 5 kilos, I want all those brand new I don't know, wedge tail eagles that came in last month. It's not like that. It is dealer's choice. So, but it is all pure silver, and it just be in whatever form that the Treasury determine. But it will equal the correct weight of what the tokens that you have. Now there will be a $250 service redemption cost in there as well. And if someone wanted that sent to their address because they lived interstate or whatever, there would be a postage cost as well. Once those postage costs and that 250 redemption cost is paid just by a bank transfer, obviously we'd send the invoice out. It's got our bank details on it. Once that's paid, Treasury then get notification. They would then pack it all up with dispatch. That would be collected either in store, or it would be packaged up properly for the Star Trek Express to then send to someone, so if they were interstate or whatever. So if you're just going to pick up in store, if you want to come in store, you've got your CoinSpot app, you can send us the tokens from inside the store, not a problem. Walk you over to the Treasury, they'll give you your silver and you walk out the door, just as long as the 250 is paid. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a couple of steps there, but it is possible to do, but you just wouldn't do it for a small amount, because if you only had $200 worth of silver, you wouldn't pay 250 to redeem it, because you'd probably still owe us
Down by
$50.
$50. I figured that more out already. So this is actually the goldensilverstandard.com, which is actually Ainslie's other page, tokenization and silver. Now, I was just going through, there's lots of good information on here if you want to go through the various titles up the top here.
Thanks for sharing
But
that,
I did
Vince.
spot right down the bottom here a set of contract addresses.
Yeah, so
Can you
that's what I
explain what
said
they
to
are?
you. Yeah, so what I said to you before was about uh, with our example of if someone was going to tokenize some properties, you'd want to know what the contract, the smart contract that created those coins is, and be able to, you know, see circulating supply and all that sort of stuff. Well, this is
These
where
are the
you're able
addresses.
to put those into, yeah, the Ethereum blockchain. As I said, that's where our coins live. You'd be able to go onto the Ethereum blockchain, you'd be able to see everything there. So that's part of that transparency.
Let's see if I
And
can
just
actually
as
get
yeah, so if you go to Etherscan, yep, that's the one. You'll pop that in there.
that. Etherscan.
Now, to be honest, I've never done that, so this is going to be an
An
education for me,
interesting
and I probably
experiment.
should have. You just never know where these talks are going to go, Vince. They could go anywhere, and look where it's gone.
Well,
There you go.
this is
We
why
used to
I'm
have
a
an old
tricky
contract. Yeah, we
person.
used to have an old contract, but that's been superseded by a new one. So, for whatever reason,
No, there we go.
yeah. So it's all
Transfers in and out.
transparent. Yeah.
So it looks like
So
CoinSpot's got a bit happening from here. Somewhere in there is one of my transactions.
people might have, well, some of those might have just been people sending it in to us from CoinSpot, and we've executed the trade for them, or maybe
Oh,
it's
right. Okay.
maybe it is some buys on CoinSpot. I'm not sure, but I can find out about that I'll speak to one of the bosses about it. But in
Well, maybe
relation to
but
the
that's great.
transparency, yeah,
That's literally
yeah,
showing that it's valid and it's there that you can get
yeah.
it. So that
And
is
just
brilliant.
probably just to finish off there, Vince, as well, with regards to that transparency, I did talk to one of the directors about that, just so I could let your audience know. So it's important to know that you said before, or you mentioned before, that there were assets in the back that were backing this product, and that's important to know. So I just wanted to relay to the viewers that we do have audits. It's by a company called PKF, and they happen
Yep.
every quarter. They're a global insurance company, so basically we run it like allocated silver. So the silver is this bar, this purity, this weight, this serial number. And so they actually visually see these things coming into a section of the safe that is for the AUS AGS standard. Right?
Yep.
They visually see that going in. They test it if as they need to. Everything is vaulted before anything is minted. So all those checks and all those verifications happen before, and then a seal is put around the vault or the
That you have
safe.
what's
The
now
seal is
in
put around the
blockchain.
safe, and
Yep.
so that just doesn't get disturbed until next time that there is a minting process, that metal is physically checked by them, goes in, and
Yep.
then gets resealed. So nothing can be used for any other reason in the meantime between these audits and these checks. It's like what used to happen with Fort Knox. They would 1955 or whatever it was last time they audited it. They put a seal around the door, and it doesn't get audited since then. Well, we've apparently, allegedly, there might have been one or two of these broken seals, but with us, that's how we mint. So we
Yeah.
don't create tokens until it's verified, put in
Right.
by a third party, and audited. Yeah, so it's something we take a lot of pride in, and a lot of policy and procedure is structured around this to create that trust and that transparency, and that custodial kind of customers need to know these things. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, see, this is why we needed to do this interview. So, Matt, look, I appreciate your hour that you've spent with us, an hour and 5 now.
Geez, that's flying,
We
Vince.
chatted a bit before we started. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to let you go because you've got to get back to work. Otherwise, the boss of Ainslie might hit me over the head for something. But
yeah, gotta go pull my weight.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate the time and effort, and if possible, we'd like to see if we can get you on again, maybe a little bit of a Q&A for some of those questions that might get thrown at us over the bits and pieces. But if anybody wants to, right, if anybody wants to, get in touch with Ainslie Bullion. Matt's the person to talk to in Brisbane. Who's the guys to
Yep.
talk to in other places?
So I'm on the crypto desk. So it's info@ainsliecrypto.com.au if you want to
Yep.
chat to the team. There's 3 very knowledgeable colleagues there that can help with any needs. We do have Melbourne stores for the bullion side of things. We have the Gold Coast, the new Gold Coast store, which has just opened recently at Mermaid Beach. Again, you can go in there for your bullion supplies and so forth and talk to them about your various crypto needs, and they will liaise with us. So the crypto is based basically in Brisbane.
In Brisbane, just
However,
Brisbane.
if you
Okay.
are somewhere and you want to get face to face with someone, we can obviously facilitate through them down at those other stores.
Excellent. No worries. Well,
Beautiful.
I wish you a very profitable day today. I believe from what I heard earlier, you are flat out. You're having to shut the doors early just to stop the crowd. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I think the other day we had, and it's the first time our receptionist has ever. She's been here for a very long time with Ainslie. She's much loved. She actually had to basically stop people coming in at 3:30. And normally, if you come in here before 4, or even sometimes just slightly after, if you've rung us and said you're trying to get here on time, we'll hang around. But had to shut the doors at 3:30 because the lineups were there that still were from earlier in the day that was still needing to be processed. So it's busy times for the gold and silver markets. Look, if just research and just get started, that's all I would say, because I think there's a lot of things that are becoming to reality with regards to supply and demand, and some of these games that have been played for many years are starting to kind of been shown for what they are, and some cracks are opening. So it's not financial advice, but I think it's not a
Just
bad
general.
place to come in and talk with one of us and see if we can help you.
Right. And as always, Carl's been saying that you guys don't have an issue with actually getting silver or gold, so you guys are fine as far as that's concerned.
We have good supplies of it. I'm not saying it's where we perfect, but there's a lot of products. If someone needed some gold and silver exposure, we have products that they would be able to get into. It might not be, I want the 2024 Dragon 2-ounce coin that's on supply. There might be some back orders going on with that, but generally the more basic stuff, your tequilas, your 10 ounces and all these things that are going to give you some good exposure, or even some ounce coins, we have something that we can give you. So, and that's the beautiful thing. You come in, you can always, most of the time, walk out with something if you're just after physical silver and exposure or gold. Yeah.
Excellent. No worries.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much,
Good man.
Matt, for this and the time you spent. I much enjoyed that. So I've just made a new friend, and I'll be ringing him a lot. So no, I try not to pester him too much. But Matt, thank you very much for your time you spent, and your explanations today have been brilliant around tokenization, how it's backed, etc. Very, very, very much appreciated.
You're welcome, Vince. Lovely talking with you, and thank you to all your viewers as well. And we'll hopefully see you guys.
Well, that might be the whole 13. We're still a young program, so hopefully we'll get a few more. But with that, guys, we'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to end this recording. And once again, thanks very much for your time, Matt.
Thank you.
Well, that was a very interesting conversation we had with Matt. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Just wanted to bring this one up from Crunchy. Tokens are safer and they can be built faster. That is one of the advantages of doing the tokenization and knowing the fact that you've actually got it backed by silver from Ainslie. So it's where you can chuck $5 or $10 in here, and it gives you also that reserve where if you build up a significant wad, you can go and actually redeem it. Or even if you just need to pull back $300 or $400 or $500, instead of having to travel or take your silver in or whatever, you can just redeem that straight off CoinSpot and just sell it back to Ainslie effectively through CoinSpot. So either way, that's part of the reason for doing that. So I think that's a good idea. Oh, the other option, of course, is do it through Ainslie Saver. So yes, Crunchy, by all means, send me through that email. That will be no problems at all. I just wanted to also, I've just got to remove this from the stage. Remove that. And I'm going to add this thing in here. So just give me half a second, guys, while I do this. I want that one. And I want to share that. Look at that. This is the chart that I drew on Friday night when I was on Kale's show. And what we can see here quite clearly is it broke out of that flag to the downside, which is sort of what I thought it might do. But, you know, I'm not prepared to give you guys any sort of financial advice or anything. I'll leave that up to somebody like Matt. But right now is down a bit. And this is the bottom line that I think we're going to be looking at. So if it starts touching down around the bottom here, that's probably worth a buy because it's going to turn around and go up. I've seen a lot of traffic on other shows now also talking about silver. So very interesting in what's going on in that respect. Mark says hello today. He was also very appreciative that he could have the night off. His missus was sound asleep, so he's biting at the bit to get back, he says. We'll see. Maybe it might just become the Vince show. No, I'm only kidding. Let me remove that. Have a quick look here. What is the percentage you asked for and buy and sale? Yeah, so one of the things he talked about there was the difference between the buy and sell of silver versus tokens, right? And if you're just buying a standard block of silver, you don't care what it looks like, etc. It was around about 14% above market average for the buy, and it's about 3% under, 3 to 4% under for the sell of the spot price. So in that respect, that's where that money is sort of being made. He did mention though that tokens themselves were about the same for the above spot price for like 14%, but to sell back was about 1%. So you actually literally saved 2% there. So that was something that I thought was worthwhile knowing. So that was that one. What is the percentage of buy sell on silver? I just sort of gave you that. Vince, I'm thinking Mark is wanting a longer break. Well, he's been busily working away, slaving away. I mean, he's a young dad, got kids, family, building up his mega fortunes, etc., with his XRP and his silver. So, yeah, unlike us old folks, they get to stick around and laugh at bikini jokes on a certain prime minister. He's much more busy and unable to do that. It is also nice to hear that they're splitting up the bill now. So they're doing guns for one thing and doing the hate legislation as another part. Theoretically, we shouldn't be doing that at all. In my political opinion, and I'm making that as a political comment because I don't think Australia needs that. And secondly, if they bring in the laws, it's political speech and I'm allowed to talk about political stuff. As per High Court rulings, there's about 4 of them. Anyway, what's this one here? I hope you research on crypto market as well. I will ask him some hard questions. Oh, who are you talking about, Crunchy? You talking about Mark or Matt? Whichever one. They tax you on buying it and selling it. Yeah, how much is percentage rate times 2x? Well, tax is an unfortunate side event of what we've got ourselves into in this country. And while they don't track sales or purchases over 5,000, under 5,000, there's still always going to be GST and that stuff. And unfortunately, we can't get around it. They've politicized everything, so it's all good. Very true. Guys, you've been very patient. It's been an hour and 16 minutes going on there so far tonight. And with that, all I'm going to say is that I'm going to love you and leave you. keep an eye on that. If you don't have a lot to spend, tokenization off CoinSpot is a good way. The only disadvantage of that is that it's not sitting in your own personal wallet, which is unfortunate. Still, I've got some sitting there, and at the moment, I'd have to say I'm happy. And if I was to sell it right now, I would have definitely made some money, and I've only had it for 2 weeks. So, yeah. Okay. What I got here? This is heading towards the UK rule. You're not wrong about that. Man, oh man, I have so much to say about that, but I'm not going to get on my political high horse right now. Topher Phil's doing some really excellent stuff on that. Carl's having a few things to say. Z Media's having a few things to say. I'm not quite sure she's saying the right things, but yeah, that some of her thoughts have drifted somewhat, but even still. Now, I will say this much. Because mass immigration is about mass immigration, that could be from anywhere in the world. That means the protests that are happening on the 26th of January this year for the Australia Day protests and the mass immigration protests, they are political protests and are protected by the High Court ruling. All right, so we have the right to do political protests. Just to let you know that. And because it's not picking on a particular race or anything, it's about mass immigration from every person who's coming into this country. So, and we understand that because a lot of the guys that come to those are people who have immigrated here and chose to make Australia their own. So, I was also watching a thing from Albanese tonight about the change to the legislation. Oh man, I should record it because I can put so many holes in that and pull it apart. Ooh, I mean, yeah, he is not in touch with what the actually average Australian is thinking. Not at all. Anyway, what do we got here? Vince, put it on Carl's next week. What are you talking about, Crunchy? Which one? What? What are you telling me about there, mate? I don't know if Labor brings in what, Ash? Or maybe I missed something. Whatever they're bringing in is not relative to that whole speech, hate laws, etc. that I'm talking about. Is that what you're talking about? About hate speech laws? Well, it shouldn't have any effect. Oh, right, Crunchy. Yeah, you're saying bring it on, put it on Carl's show next week. Well, we have to let Carl recover because he's going to be losing his daughter this weekend. So he's having a weekend with his daughter, and then she's disappearing to Victoria. Ah, youth. Sometimes it makes you wonder, but never mind. About the hate speech stuff, yeah, I've got a little bit here that I can read out. I've done a little bit of research on the High Court ruling on that, and actually how us people like myself or Carl or any of those guys that are out there that are talking about this, how we can at least sort of stay somewhat on the right side of the law. But the beautiful thing is that he's already admitted that they do not have the power in the Senate to pass it. So that's why they're splitting it. They just want to pass the gun section at the moment. So, excuse me. It does not mean that it's dead in the water. It just means they're going to find another way to put it in. Right? They'll sneak it in little amendment bills all the way. I mean, the current, I think, if you watch the Topher Field and Malcolm Roberts interview, you would have seen the fact that they're saying that this bill affected about 10 other acts with little inserts and bits and pieces. So chasing that up, yeah, finding through away all the acts ridiculous. Sorry. Yes, so got you guys all started firing up when I come on. This is nice. I'm trying to let you all go, and you're all wanting to chat. Albanese is doing a good job at keeping the Muslim Brotherhood happy. His actual name is Albo Bikini now, I believe. At least that's what I read somewhere. I may be mispronouncing that, and if I do, I'm terribly sorry, Albo Sleazy. I mean Albanese. Yeah. I would like to see Topher on Voice of Freedom as well. We have made some moves towards asking Topher. As yet, that's not been able to be done. But I do think that a lot of these people need to start going on each other's shows and keeping and encouraging that talk. Try some chamomile tea, cinnamon sticks, and hot water for your throat. Yeah, I could try other things too, like certain vices that I have that I shouldn't be doing. All right, guys, with that, we shall leave it with you. It's now 1:22. I'd like you to share this out. Go and see Ainslie Bullion. You'll find the links down below, obviously for each of their sites and their locations, so you can get to the silver standards page there as well. Remember, that was info. I think it was info at Ainslie Bullion that he mentioned in the chat, or in the discussion we had. And I'll actually send him a link so you can see how we perform. Matt's a brilliant guy, very, very knowledgeable indeed. Also, while I think about it, I had a little glitch or so with the mobile view of our merch store for VOF HQ. And that made it a little bit of a fun time trying to do lottery for Sandy. So I spent most of last night fixing that and got it all sorted out. So now you should be able to easily access through the menu system the lottery tickets so that you can go and help Sandy out at the Donkey Sanctuary. And to be fair, some of that will help us pay the bills. And because these lotteries are taking a while, we are barely covering costs on our bills just on that alone. So if you want to donate, you can also do that as well. There are a few changes still to be put through as soon as somebody who does all the computer work gets around to doing it. Don't know who that would be though. So guys, have a fantastic night, right? Invest wisely. Keep your eyes on the goals, and above all, keep the faith. And I'm missing my Charlie Kirk thing tonight. Oh, that was terrible of me. So, but I did have him at the front. So once again, talking, discussion, it's the best way forward. Right? We don't need to use violence, but we do need to talk. We do need to educate people. So guys, go out there, keep the faith, be strong. And with that, I'm going to go to the media asset side of here and say good night all. And we shall catch you hopefully Monday night if Carl's in any sort of condition, being that he's such a softie. He honestly is such a softie. Catch you all later. Bye.